What's up, guys? It's Corey from Lion Dads back with another video. So, I see a lot of questions about this subject coming up a lot. So, I thought I'd address my thoughts on it and some of my experiences with it. So, today we're going to talk about intermittent fasting. I'll go over some of the different fasting methods people use and methods that I've used and what I think about them and how I kind of plan on using them going forward and maybe what I kind of recommend for people. So, I guess first off, let's start with what is intermittent fasting. It's basically allocating a certain amount of extended time during your day where you're in a fasted state, meaning you're not eating, right? So, you take that amount of time and you pretty much just drink water. At least that's how I did it. Some people will drink coffee in their fasting window, which coffee is something that I don't really drink much at all, or they'll drink like diet sodas or something, something no calorie. But during my fasting windows, I prefer to just keep it completely water. That's all I consume. Um, so now, if you eat a meal and then you don't eat for an hour, and then an hour later, you have a snack, are you fasting? No. You need to remain in that window, for a certain amount of time in order to stay in that fasted state. So, why do people do intermittent fasting? A lot of people do it as a form of calorie restriction. It allows them to basically skip eating for a portion of the day, and then they eat a little more freely later in the day. So, for example, when I wasn't on a carnivore diet and I was just trying to lose weight, that's the reason that I started intermittent fasting for the first time. And for the most part, I found it pretty effective. I found calories adding up quickly. So saving them later for in the day was something that I was just able to do. Was I eating good foods in my eating windows? Probably not. But from a weight loss standpoint, it did work for the most part. A lot of people also report that like it helps with their fat burning, and you're relying on your fat stores for energy. So I've said repeatedly, like I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist or anything like that. I don't have time in my life to sit and read scientific studies and documents and all that crap. So I'm just a human lab rat running experiments on myself and telling you guys what I think and what I find. So maybe this is the case. I've heard this from sources that think are really reputable, but I'm not going to sit here and say that this is a scientific fact or anything, or that's how it you burn fat on intermittent fasting. I just look at it this way: if I try it and I get results, this benefit's just icing on the cake. I can tell you that I did it for a long time with no adverse effects and no medical issues caused by it. So I do know that it isn't harmful. I've done it on and off for years and I get results. So that's good enough for me. Another benefit that people report is increased focus and mental clarity. I can somewhat agree with that, especially back when I was using it on a modified bodybuilder style high protein version of the standard American diet. I'd often get great clarity and focus throughout the day, and then I would crash though after I ate my first meal. I don't know how much this actually has to do with intermittent fasting and not just consuming the garbage foods that I was eating on that modified kind of standard American diet, because I often eat throughout the day now with no fasting at all on my carnivore diet, and I feel dialed in and focused all day long. Even yeah, if I eat like sit down and have a huge breakfast of eggs and bacon and sausage or a steak or something like that. I'll eat a huge breakfast in the morning and no crash, no I'm just ready to rock all day. So that's debatable, I guess. So let me know, your thoughts on it if you've tried it or what your experiences are down in the comment section. So let's pivot to how you start intermittent fasting and like what are some ways that people do it. There's actually a few ways people do it. It's just about finding what works best for you. Probably the most common way that I know people get started is with a 16 and 8 window. So that's where you fast for 16 hours through the day including like obviously when you're sleeping, and then you eat your first meal at the beginning of your 8 hour window, and then your last meal at the end of it. So a common way that I see people doing it is they open their eating window around 11 a.m. and finish at about 7 p.m. You can shift that time, however you want. Like I eat dinner early, like an old person, right? So I would often end my window at 6 p.m. instead and allow myself to start eating at like 10 a.m. And often I'd usually wait anyway to eat till around 11 or 12. So I'd be in like usually a 17 or 18 hour fasting window, which I found for me was not really that big a deal most days. Now, you can shrink that window however you want. It all depends on you and your willpower. I typically won't usually go lower than what I described, but I know plenty of people who did, and like that's totally fine. Whatever works for you. There's no right or wrong way to do this stuff. Just if you can make it work and it benefits you, go ahead and do it that way. That's the best way to do it. The way that works for you. Um, you can also, flip your window. So, for example, if you'd rather eat early, you can wake up and you can start eating immediately for 8 hours if you're the type of person who gets up and like needs that first meal, right? And you can close your window then after 8 hours. So, say you wake up at 8 a.m., which I cannot relate to. I wish I could sleep in that late, but let's say you wake up at 8 a.m. and you start eating immediately. You can then close your window at 4 p.m. and that's the end of your day, basically, as far as food. And then you're going to be going to bed kind of on a emptier stomach. You'll whatever time you go to bed. So some people actually do like this method a lot more. Some people just sleep better on an empty stomach, or for any other reason. It just works for some people. Like I said, you find what works best for you, and that's the right way to do it. I've tried it this way, and physically, I find it actually quite sustainable. The only problem that I found with it is social stuff. Like, if you have a family and dinner's like a part of your life together, that's where that window could be an issue. That was like the big issue that I had with it, at least. So for me, it just wasn't sustainable in my lifestyle. But I really actually liked that was probably the best way that I found it. I really liked it that way physically. Um, One of the more extreme ways that actually a lot of people do is one meal a day, or for short, they call it OMAD as an acronym. And this is exactly what it sounds like. You fast all day and you eat one meal at a given time, whether that's in the morning, afternoon, evening, or whatever. And there's a lot of people who love this method. They say it's ancestrally pretty accurate compared to eating throughout the whole day. Like biologically, they think that's how we're supposed to eat and stuff like that. And like I said, I don't know for sure how accurate that is, but it seems to work for a lot of people. I have tried OMAD both on and off the carnivore diet, and honestly, like this way of fasting is not for me at all. I gave it my best shot a couple times and I found it pretty grueling myself. Like I can handle skipping an early meal or a late meal just fine, but like grinding a whole day out without eating, or eating and then not eating again the rest of the day, was something that me personally, I'm not built for it. And like I said, that's fine. We all handle things different. We're all built differently. And there's no right or wrong way to do it. If OMAD works for you, it's great that it works for you. It just doesn't work for me. You know, there's no right or wrong way to do these things. Uh, One big issue that I had with it was when I was trying to build muscle. I found that I just needed the calories, and OMAD wasn't, providing that for me. I would try to have like a huge, ridiculous meal. And because, the carnivore diet's actually really, pretty high in protein, and it's actually really satiating, I just couldn't eat enough to get the results that I wanted from a muscle building and weight gaining, I guess, kind of, or size gaining standpoint. So I find it much easier to get more calories spread out over 2 or 3 meals when I have that particular goal in mind. So now, right now, I'm kind of in like a weight loss mode. I just came off a bulk, so it is something that I could revisit. But I think sticking to a longer fasting window just works fine for me. I toy with the idea sometimes of maybe doing OMAD like once or twice a week. And I might try to do that and let you guys know what I think and, what my results are. I don't always, fast every day anyway. I kind of listen to my body. And if I wake up, get my workout in, which I always work out fasted, I really, really love the sharpness that I feel like comes with working out fasted. And then sometimes I just need to eat, and well, I eat. I think once you get to a place where you've been eating this way for a while and you're more in tune with your body, which is how I feel right now, you can kind of trust yourself a little more. You can kind of trust the way you feel and let your body tell you, "Hey, let's eat something," or "Hey, we can hold off." It's kind of like that. So a couple of years ago, right, when I was a fat, sugar addicted mess, I couldn't trust my body at all. You know, it'd be telling me like I deserve a beer or a burrito or a candy bar, you know. Now when it tells me I'm hungry, I listen and it's worked out well for me. And I have a goal in mind, right coming up. Like my wife's 40th birthday is coming up and we have this huge vacation plan and it's telling me, I need to get my ass lean and muscular. So I find I can do these types of things like without it bothering me too much. When I wanted to build some strength and muscle, I felt it was telling me it was okay, eat a little more, eat earlier, eat the big breakfast, and it served me well. I was able to hit all my goals with minor fat gain, but mostly muscle gain, which is going to happen when you bulk, and I did. And I had to do it by eating a lot. So, like as you can see, fasting just wasn't an option for me for that period of time in the last year that I've been trying to build mass, and now that I'm shifting my goals, it's something that I'm going to go back to and implement more going forward for the rest of this year. So, like, all I'm going to do though is listen to my body, like I said, and it isn't something you need to do every day if you don't really want to. You don't have to be regimented. You don't have to be dogmatic. You don't have to say this is the only way this is going to work. You can be as flexible as you need to be. If you wake up needing 6 eggs, eat 6 freaking eggs, dude. You know what I mean? Get to a point where you can trust what your body's telling you and then implement the method of fasting that works best for you if you even need to do it at all. There's no right or wrong answer here. So that's really all that I have for today, guys. And as always, the links to all my socials and stuff are down in the description. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, keep seeing my content, and leave a comment down below with any questions or ideas or anything you guys want to hear. So till next time, peace out.